You're watching a talk show and all of a sudden the guest starts stripping, or they wrestle the host mid-show, go on a drunk rant, or launch into a cussing marathon. Just something downright outrageous. What do you think happens? Well, they get banned from the talk show, often for life. Talk shows build their entire eras of television. They shaped careers, turned scandals into headlines, and gave audiences the feeling they were peeking behind the curtain of celebrity life. Yet for some stars, the stage that once welcomed them become a locked door. This isn't about missing an invitation one season and returning the next. These are bans on public figures who once thought late-night couches and daytime stages would always be theirs. From shocking outbursts to moments that spiraled out of control, each story we'll cover exposes the unspoken rules of entertainment. Charm opens the door, controversy closes it. Across the next few minutes, you'll see names you recognize, household icons, award winners, and cultural flashpoints who cross a line that no network executive could overlook. Each example is a reminder that fame comes with conditions, and breaking them can erase years of goodwill in a single night. Ready for some hot tea? Let's begin. The Kardashians. Anderson Cooper's quiet refusal. The Kardashian-Jenner family has appeared on nearly every major talk show stage, but one host drew a hard line. During his 2-year run with Anderson Live, journalist Anderson Cooper made it clear that no member of the family would be invited. His reasoning was simple. They were already everywhere. On Watch What Happens Live, Cooper explained his stance to Andy Cohen, saying the family's media saturation left him with nothing new to ask, no fresh angle to explore. It wasn't personal. In fact, the Kardashians had expressed admiration for him. Howard Stern versus Jay Leno, a man born from chaos. Howard Stern has never been a stranger to controversy, but his infamous 1995 appearance on The Tonight Show left scars that never healed. He didn't simply walk on stage. He stormed it with 2 bikini-clad women, pushed them into kissing, and bulldozed the interview as if the stage belonged to him. Gene Siskel and Roger Ebert sat helplessly. Jay Leno struggled to control the chaos, and the entire moment teetered on collapse. Leno's fury was instant. Backstage, he erupted at Stern's producer, accusing the shock jock of fouling his home turf. Later on air, he blasted Stern for crossing every acceptable line. The fallout grew into a decades-long war of words. Stern has since fired insult after insult, attacking Leno's battles with Conan O'Brien and David Letterman, even accusing him of stealing material. In 2004, when Leno hired Stern's colleague stuttering John Melendez, the rift deepened. Leno extended an olive branch, offering Stern a chance to appear again and settle things. Stern refused, locking the feud in place forever. Jay Leno versus Conan O'Brien, The Tonight Show meltdown. The late-night throne has always been fragile, but nothing compared to the chaos of 2010. Jay Leno had commanded The Tonight Show since 1992. NBC, eager to hold on to Conan O'Brien, promised him the job once Leno stepped aside in 2009. On paper, it looked like a seamless transition. In reality, it detonated into one of television's ugliest feuds. NBC launched The Jay Leno Show in primetime to keep their star from defecting. Ratings crumbled. To salvage the mess, executives slid Leno into Conan's time slot, bumping The Tonight Show past midnight. Audiences revolted, critics shredded the network, and Conan chose to walk away with payout rather than preside over a diminished version of the show he had been promised. The public turned its ire on Leno, portraying him as a man unwilling to let go, despite once pledging he would exit gracefully. Conan later admitted he moved on, but when asked about hosting Leno on his TBS stage, his reply was a blunt no. Piers Morgan, from host to band guest. Piers Morgan is famous for his bands. Madonna, for one, earned his disdain with what he labeled incredibly annoying behavior. Yet in an ironic twist, his stance against the pop icon came back to hit him. Rosie O'Donnell, loyal to Madonna, responded by barring Morgan from appearing on The Rosie Show. For a host who thrived on control, being turned into the unwelcome guest was a rare reversal. Though O'Donnell's show didn't last long, the band made headlines. highlighting how grudges in television circles often ripple outward. Kelsey Grammer, walking off Piers Morgan Live. Kelsey Grammer's ban came not from wild antics, but from an unkept agreement. In 2012, the Frasier star was booked for an interview on Piers Morgan Live. Moments before the cameras rolled, he spotted a photograph of his ex-wife in the show's opening sequence. Grammer had specifically requested that such images not be used. The decision to ignore that request was enough to make him turn on his heel and leave the set entirely. The audience never saw the conversation they were promised. Grammer, who had spoken about his ex before, was prepared to address personal topics, but he wasn't willing to play by someone else's rules when those rules contradicted his own boundaries. For Morgan, known for clashes with high-profile guests, it became another broken bridge. Gary Busey, wrestling his way out of Stern's studio. Gary Busey has a reputation for unpredictability, and his time on The Howard Stern Show cemented that image. During an appearance, Busey turned what should have been a routine interview into a spectacle. He suddenly wrapped Stern's co-host in a long, unrelenting hug, dragging the moment past comfort until the two tumbled to the floor. Then, in a bizarre twist, he wrestled Stern himself on live radio. For audiences, it was chaotic entertainment. For Stern, it was a line crossed. The eccentric actor later explained his behavior by pointing to the lingering effects of a head injury and even claimed different personalities were to blame. No matter the reason, the outcome was decisive. Producers had no interest in repeating the scene, and Busey's name quietly disappeared from the show's guest list. Joan Rivers, the betrayal Carson never forgave. Joan Rivers owed much of her stardom to Johnny Carson. He invited her to The Tonight Show, gave her the spotlight as a guest host, and treated her as a trusted on-air partner. But in 1986, when Rivers accepted an offer from Fox to headline her own late-night talk show, everything unraveled. She never called Carson before the announcement went public. For him, that silence was the ultimate betrayal. Carson responded with swift finality. Rivers was barred from The Tonight Show, and Carson reportedly told others that anyone appearing on her program would never be welcomed on his. That decree made it nearly impossible for Rivers to build momentum. Her show folded after a year, replaced by Arsenio Hall's now legendary run. Years later, Rivers admitted she reached out to Men Things, but Carson never took her call. Kathy Griffin, comedy without boundaries. Kathy Griffin built her career on pushing buttons, but the same reputation closed more talk show doors than it opened. Over the years, she's been blacklisted from an extraordinary lineup of programs: The Tonight Show with Jay Leno, Conan, Ellen, The View, Live with Regis and Kelly, Letterman, and The Today Show. Few comedians can claim such a sweeping ban record. The reasons were as varied as her antics. She stripped down to her underwear during CNN's New Year's Eve broadcast in 2012, dropped an unfiltered F-bomb on The View, and staged a dramatic on-air stunt during her 2012 return to Letterman, undressing again despite having previously been barred. Rich Little, an impression that went too far. For years, impressionist Rich Little was a fixture on The Tonight Show. His catalog of celebrity voices entertained audiences, but his Johnny Carson impersonation drew particular laughs. On stage, Carson appeared to embrace the act, smiling along with the crowd. Behind the scenes, though, it was a different story. By 1982, Little's appearances stopped altogether. In his autobiography, he claimed Carson banned him outright for mocking him too much. Carson's producers offered a softer explanation, suggesting the impressions had grown stale and repetitive. Regardless of the truth, Little never returned to that famous couch. Vivica A. Fox, walking off Jimmy Kimmel Live. Vivica A. Fox expected her 2005 appearance on Jimmy Kimmel Live to be a lighthearted promotion. Instead, the segment soured from the opening line. Kimmel introduced her with a jab at Star Jones, one of Fox's closest friends. From there, the tone spiraled downward. Fox tried to reset, even asking to restart the interview, but Kimmel continued poking at the joke. Unwilling to let her friend's name be dragged for entertainment, she shot back with a sharp remark of her own and walked off set, leaving the conversation unfinished. For years, Fox assumed the confrontation ended that night. It wasn't until 2014, during Kimmel's appearance on Watch What Happens Live, that she discovered she had been formally banned from his show. Talk shows may look like playgrounds for celebrities, but they're also tightrope acts. One slip and the invitation can vanish forever. Each of these bans proves that fame doesn't guarantee forgiveness, and the couch you once owned can turn cold overnight. Mic off, door locked.